You're listening to Eating for Eden, episode 13. When it comes to doing something about climate change, your food choices matter. Thanks for tuning in to Eating for Eden, a podcast that takes a food-first approach to climate action. I'm your host, Jessica J. Schroeder, and I am passionate about food that tastes good and does good. I'll guide you with practical tips and help you thoroughly enjoy your food along the way. Starting something new can feel very lonely if no one around you is doing it too. You might feel like no one understands you. You're also likely to feel a lack of support. Dipping your toe into plant-based eating is no exception. In fact, as many of you are likely well aware already, food-based changes can be particularly ostracizing. Food is something we tend to gather around and is commonly a central part of fostering community. While relational, it can also be deeply personal. Choosing to abstain from foods that have become so ubiquitous in our industrialized societies can take no small dose of courage, grit, and determination. But making and sticking to these choices becomes a lot easier when you're not the only one, when you have others around you acting in similar ways, when you don't feel alone. When making any kind of lifestyle change, it's important to find your people. While you may have various people around you who will love and support you no matter what, if they are not making similar choices to you with regard to the foods you're eating and not eating, there's still going to be a sense of dissonance. You may still feel a lack of support. It's valuable to have at least one person with whom you can relate when it comes to your food choices. One person who will understand through shared experience. Whether it's just one person, whether it's a handful, or even a community, when you find your people, you won't have to go it alone. You will have others to talk about successes and struggles with. You will have others for bouncing ideas off of, including the very important and fun sharing and swapping of recipe ideas. You'll have people you can feel comfortable getting together with to share a meal. And you'll find support for your values, and maybe even add to your own through getting to know another's values. Please don't hear me say that you need to uproot your friend group or ostracize your family if they're not on a similar wavelength. This is absolutely not the case. Please maintain the current relationships that are of value to you. The encouragement I want to offer is to make sure you have at least someone with whom you can relate as you're on this journey with food. When it comes to your current relationships with those who are not embracing plant-based eating or perhaps aren't even taking any intentional action with regard to climate change at all, you may need to communicate some of your lifestyle shifts, and I recognize that this could be difficult for some of us. Regardless of the potential awkwardness or difficulty, I hope you can see this as an opportunity. Express the changes you're intending to make graciously. Don't make others feel less than or as if you think you're right and they're wrong. Simply communicating that you're trying something new, especially because it aligns with things you care about, such as your bodily health and planetary health, it might pique others' interests. Even though your closest relationships may not yet be your people with regard to the support you need on your plant-based journey of climate action, there may be some neat opportunities for conversation. Remain open, warm, and vulnerable. Be willing to share. Who knows what doors may open? Having established the benefit of finding your people, how do you actually find them? Give one or several of these ideas a try. Tip number 1, talk about your interest in eating with climate change in mind. For some of us, this may feel risky. I know for me, climate change denialism was a very common thing in the context in which I grew up. So even though I know statistically I'm likely to be surrounded by more people who agree that climate change is real, humans are causing it, and we can and ought to do something about it, there can still be some residual difficulty in bringing up the topic now and again. But through practice, I've been able to push through that resistance, and talking about it gets easier and easier. Through talking about it, I'm able to find more and more people who resonate with something I say, whether it's the topic of climate change and our responsibility for taking action, or the tasty food I talk about cooking, or perhaps even a nutrition angle I might mention. Tip number 2, pay attention. When you're at gatherings and meeting new people, notice how people eat or what they talk about. Do you notice someone else who avoided the ground beef at the taco bar, favoring the black beans and the fajita veg instead? Ask them about their choice. You might say, I noticed you skipped the ground beef. Do you mind if I ask you why you chose to do that? Is there someone chatting about renewable energy? Ask them about what they're learning and what excites them. See if they've considered food as an avenue for climate action as well. Tip number 3, find community groups you might join. These could be local in-person gatherings that are being hosted by a nonprofit or a business or a church in your area. It might even be a grassroots community of individuals who gather around a common cause. Take a look in local newspapers, look at library and coffee shop bulletin boards, check out your town or city's website. There are various ways of seeking out groups of like-minded individuals. While I definitely encourage us all to find in-person relationships for support and friendship around this topic, there is also a lot of opportunity for online community as well. If you're on social media, there are likely various Facebook groups you might consider joining, though I can't vouch for any myself. I'm not on Facebook. You might consider checking out Love Your Place, a dynamic online community founded by creation care organization Arasha USA. I've provided links in the show notes below. And tip number 4, when all else fails, if you're unable to connect with people in person or online, find people you can hear from on podcasts, videos, blogs, or in books. While these are certainly not optimal and should not be substituted for in-person relationships, they can be a beneficial supplement as well as a good starting point for those who feel like they are utterly alone on their journey. While one-sided and less personal, it can still be a powerful help to hear another's voice of encouragement through these media. Once you find your people, or if you already have them in your life, spend time together regularly. Eat together, talk about what you value, talk about what you're learning, and also just have fun together. While it's wonderful to get to connect on a deeper level, sharing the values that unite you, it's also valuable to embrace the levity of laughter, having fun, and sharing a tasty meal. Don't underestimate the power of having, or not having, people with you on the journey. Whether or not you have your people can be the difference between feeling empowered, excited, and strong in your conviction, and feeling alone, unmotivated, and confused. So don't go it alone. Find your people. Start by looking right where you are, and do what you can together and build from there. If you have questions or topics you'd like me to address here on Eating for Eden, I'd love to hear from you. Send an email to edenandme@substack.com. Also, if you're enjoying this podcast, please consider leaving a review. It's a great help for getting these important words out to others. Finally, become an email subscriber on Substack to have new podcast episodes delivered directly to your inbox. If you want to support the show, you'll even have the option to receive monthly exclusive recipes, episode transcripts, and more by becoming a paid subscriber. That's all for now, friends. Until next time, be well. Thanks for listening to Eating for Eden. If you found this episode informative or inspiring, please consider sharing it with a friend. Climate change is an issue we all need to tackle together, so let's invite others to journey along with us as we continue the conversation and start taking action. Until next week, friends, take care.